Hello, friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates for you all. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I'll also be working on building up my Minecraft world at the same time, so I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm currently only in Spotify's creator program, so watching on there would help me out a ton. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story comes from the Relationships subreddit. It was posted by Kindabrokenhearted on September 12, 2015, and was titled, My 28 female husband, 26 male, took his ex's 26 female side, kissed her and went to a bar with her to spite me. This happened maybe last week, and I'm still a little shaken up by it. I really need advice on what to do / how to fix this / what is right or wrong. So my husband's good friend was living with us over the summer. Since it will conceivably be the last summer he's going to be here, he often had friends and whatnot over to visit. Well, the night before he left, friend invited over a ton of his friends and his sister, who also happens to be my husband's long-term ex-girlfriend. They were pretty serious, dated from when they were 15 to 19. She immediately starts acting like nothing has changed between them, like she's still his girlfriend, behaving cutely, asking him to do things for her, etc. At one point, she's eating chicken wings. We ordered a ton of food, and despite this awkward mess, I hung around, and chokes a little on the spiciness. My husband offers her a paper towel, and she thanks her sky bear. This is when I ungraciously flip my crap. I tell her not to call him that, and she needs to leave right now. My husband immediately bridles and stands up for her. No, she doesn't. She's not going anywhere. I'm a little stunned. I have no idea what to say, but I back down, not wanting to push him. Okay, she doesn't have to leave, but I'm going. And it's weird that the person in this situation who's the wife has to leave. Fine, he retorts, and tells me he and his ex and his friend are all going to the bar. And no, I'm not invited. I leave and go to bed, but before they go, I go down to use the bathroom and see him and his ex kissing. Mortified, I run back to bed. He joins me about 3 hours later, well past midnight. I ask him why he's acting the way he has been, and he admits he just didn't like me reacting so strongly against his ex, and my tone irked him. We fall asleep, and I have no idea what to say or do. Apparently, my irrational bitchiness drove my husband to kiss his ex and go out with her to a bar for a few hours without me. Now, what the F do I do? Scaling Stories Corner. Well, it's a good thing kids aren't involved, because I think this is a straight-up divorce angle. And I'm sorry, I know divorce is very serious and the nuclear option, and I might have not gone for it if it wasn't for the fact they were kissing. And dude, they're kissing. It doesn't matter if you're irked or pissed off. You don't go kissing someone else secretly in the bathroom. And not, especially if that person is your old ex. I mean, that's pretty much just cheating. If the kissing never happened, I could see maybe them talking it out. Like, hey, I don't like how your ex was acting all clingy with you and asking you to do stuff for her. And I think her calling you pet names was really inappropriate considering the relationships everyone has here. And just talk it out and hopefully everyone is reasonable. But I think kissing is cheating. And who knows what else happened while they were supposedly out at the bar. I mean, for all we know, they could have been banging in the car and then they came back and oh yeah, we were at the bar, Now here are some of the top / relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, schedule a consultation with a divorce attorney. And I don't mean that to be cheeky or funny either. That kind of cold, intentional disrespect and cruelty is just mind-boggling. Commenter 2 says, he wasn't even apologetic about it. He blamed OP's tone for his despicable behavior. Commenter 3 says, apparently, my irrational bitchiness drove my husband to kiss his ex and go out with her to a bar for a few hours without me. No, your husband being a crap person drove him to kiss his ex. You did absolutely nothing wrong. You're his priority. She isn't. His reaction to your being uncomfortable with how she acts around him is bizarre. He was more concerned about his ex than his own wife. Let that sink in for a moment. If I were in your place, I would leave. Why? Because the moment he sided with her, plus kissed her, meant that he lost respect for you and your marriage. Who's to say this won't happen again? People don't just go around kissing their exes because their wife got mad at them. OP adds an edit to her post. Based on all of your reactions, it gave me the courage to confront my husband. I really don't know what to say. He was completely confused. He told me such an event never happened. He hasn't talked to his ex in years, much less kissed her, and he would never think inviting her over without consulting me would be okay. I texted his friend, and he didn't remember ever doing something like this, either, inviting over a ton of people and his sister. I even texted a person invited over. He kind of laughed and said he hadn't been over to our house in months. I texted him at the same time I was texting my husband's friend, so there was no way for them to collude. I am so scared. OP adds a second edit to her post. My husband came home. He was scared when he saw the mess I made. He thinks this is serious. He gave me a NyQuil, and I am getting ready for bed. I am going to bed. There's nothing more to say tonight. Good night. Thank you. Goodbye. I'm going to give him my phone. Commenter 4 says, wait, what? What's up with that edit? Either you just dreamt all this, OP, or they are gaslighting you. Either way, I'm confused. OP says, I don't really know. I'm really, really scared right now. Commenter 5 says, or check the garbage for the old food containers. And how was the food paid for? If not cash, there's got to be a record of it somewhere. OP says, there's nothing there. There should have been a big mess from the party, but I can't find anything. I would have remembered cleaning up and feeling pissed about it, but there's nothing but normal garbage from the week. There's no extra dishes left in places. There are no leftovers. And there was a ton of food, like 3 pizzas and 5 boxes of wings, plus someone brought Chinese. And there was a ton of soda, and now I can't find any of it. The paper towels aren't even out of place. They're full, just like I left them. Oh, Jesus, I'm so effing scared right now. I swear to God I'm not effing crazy. I'm really not. Commenter 6 says, that edit is so weird. Either you're having a dream or everyone is just playing along with your husband's scheme. OP says, I don't understand. I'm really scared. Do you mean I dreamt the whole thing? Or I'm dreaming right now? I've been crying since my husband talked to me. I told him I need to sleep. I don't understand. OP says to another commenter, I've looked. There's no record anywhere of the party. I can actually remember the night it was supposed to have happened, and it couldn't have. The more I go through this, the less scared I am. The more I realize it couldn't have happened. My husband wants to take me to the doctor tomorrow. OP says to another commenter, I am so scared. I don't want to be going crazy. But thinking about it, I never remembered my husband's friend talking about inviting anyone over beforehand. I just remember the night when everyone was over. But I can't remember the rest of that day. The only thing I can think of was seeing everyone sitting at the table and Grace looking at Sky and Sky looking at me. OP says to another commenter, I may have dreamed it since I can't remember my husband's friend mentioning inviting anyone over before the event, like asking us if it was okay, which he always did before, especially his sister, who has never come over before, or the one particular friend I texted because my husband and I don't get along with him. This sort of thing used to happen to my grandmother. I don't want it to happen to me. I don't want to tell my husband. It was probably all just a dream. I think I will ask my husband's friend's girlfriend. She wasn't here, but he may have mentioned it to her. Update 2 days later. Hey guys, great update. First, thank you all for your outpouring of love and support. I got on this morning and was overwhelmed by all your love, help, and compassion. You guys give me hope for humanity. And thanks to the jerk who told me I was a crazy drama WHRE, that my husband should dump me, and that he should get a restraining order. So, yesterday morning, my husband took me to the doctors, who asked me a lot of the questions you guys did. No, I didn't hit my head recently. No, I don't take recreational drugs. However, I have been feeling ill lately, so the night I had the dream/hallucinations, I had taken NyQuil and Benadryl to help me sleep and not drown in my own snot. Oh, and I also had a few hot toddies, so alcohol. Apparently, Benadryl has been known to cause weird reactions in perfectly normal people, such as vivid hallucinations or waking dreams. So, instead of scheduling expensive tests, we chalked it up to weird drug interactions. We're told to come back if anything similar happened, and we're told to get a goddamn PCP. Husband took me home, and I slept. By the way, while I was freaking out and still hopped up on drugs, I did check the call records, and his ex's number wasn't on the call or text list. ScalingStories Corner. The absolute whiplash this post has cost me. It's just like, wow. So, damn, I guess lesson learned, everyone. We can't mix NyQuil, Benadryl, and alcohol. You know what? I'm hearing a lot of bad things about Benadryl lately in these Reddit stories. And now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure my friend told me like a long time ago that that Benadryl or like anti-allergy meds in general like just melt your brain or something. And I don't know. It seems like it's true. Now, here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "Any follow-up to this comment you made? This sort of thing used to happen to my grandmother. I don't want it to happen to me. I don't want to tell my husband." OP says, "The doctor seemed to think my experience was just drug-related. He said if I experienced any other hallucinations, especially ones that didn't go away, to consult a psychiatrist. My grandmother would see aliens and remember conversations that never happened. However, she was also a big drug and alcohol user. So..." Commenter 2 says, "I've used Benadryl, diphenhydramine, as a sleep aid and have had some crazy dreams. I think I even sleepwalked a couple of times. I've also heard that if you take a high enough dose, you can see some crazy crap while awake, but nothing that you'd want to see." OP says, "I also sleepwalk just in general. About a week ago, I woke up in my car about halfway to work. I was having a..." What? "I was having a dream one of my charges was dying. I work with animals, and I had to go save her and give her medication." Commenter 3 says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. OP, this is a huge red flag about your sleep quality. You could have killed someone. Please get yourself to the doctor for a sleep study. I can't believe no one has commented on this." OP says, "I know, I feel really bad about it, but I can't really do anything about it or prevent it. I make sure I leave my keys in the house and lock the car doors now, though, so it's harder for me to go places while asleep." Well, that makes me reassured. Commenter 4 says, "The kids call this DXM if I'm not mistaken. Fun, huh?" OP says, "Nope. Not sure why anyone would think this kind of feeling is fun. It makes you bat crap crazy. I honestly didn't even think about what I was doing while I was doing it. I was like, hey, I think my allergies are more severe today," when I started coughing and couldn't breathe, so I took Benadryl. And then I realized I was actually getting sick, so I unthinkingly took NyQuil so I could sleep. And then I was getting chills a little while later, so I mixed myself up a hot toddy and felt better. Fell asleep pretty damn fast." OP replying to deleted commenter, "Thanks. I feel pretty stupid, and though people here helped hammer it home, apart from my husband, who is pretty upset, people saying I deserve this are out of line. I, personally, don't care if anyone believes me or not, though people believing me means I get advice. But the people telling me they hope my husband dumps me or that I'm a crazy BTCH are actually hurtful and a little damaging. I know you're people on the internet, but if I were a person in real life telling this to people she knew, would you feel good about yourself walking up to me and saying, 'Dumbass BTCH, I hope your husband gets rid of your crazy ass'? And if you would, what does that say about you?" Okay, friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. It was posted by ThrowRA Nowhere House on August 4th, 2025, and was titled, "Am I the Jerk for Not Wanting to Buy a House 3 hours away from my workplace? I don't know how to start this. I, 27 female, have been with my fiance, 28 male, for 5 years. We've just recently saved enough for a deposit on a house, and he's found this cottage in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours away from where we currently live. The thing is, I already work an hour away. I'm a nursery practitioner, and I love my workplace. I've been there since I was 20, and I've worked my way up to a room lead position. Living 3 hours away from my job would not be ideal, but my fiance won't budge on this house. He says it's perfect, within our budget, and quirky enough to fit our tastes in home style. I've tried to communicate with him about this issue multiple times, bringing up the fact that there aren't even any nurseries in that area that are looking for staff, and I don't want to find another job that's a bit further out but start from the bottom again. He says it'll all work out if I just stop overthinking it, and I've been at my current job for so long that it would be nice for me to start fresh. Another issue is that I want children. They've always been a huge deal breaker for me, and I don't think it would be such a good idea to live so remotely when it comes to children, as we will have to get them to and from school or nursery before and after work every day. The nearest school or nursery is a 30-minute drive away from the house he wants, and we both start work fairly early and finish quite late. It will also be an issue for their freedom as they grow up because I think it would be horrible to have to rely on your parents for transportation all the time and have to skip out on plans if they can't drive you. He really thinks I'm being dramatic about this and that I'll just figure it out. So am I the jerk for not wanting to move so far away from my job and basically all civilization? Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "Not the jerk. You two are not on the same page. You need to sort that out before you get married." OP says, "I am desperately trying to sort it out. I'm considering telling him that I will end the engagement if he continues to be unreasonable and doesn't consider my feelings on the matter." Commenter 2 says, "Not the jerk. Y'all didn't talk about where you wanted to live? You both should have discussed where exactly you wanted a home. You don't have to move where you don't want to live." OP says, "We did discuss it. We both want a nice cottage that's out of the way of lots of people, but there are options near us and even more options that are actually closer to my job that also still have access to regular buses. And there are even a few up for sale in a town with a train station a reasonable walk away. I don't know why he's suddenly so set on this house that's so far out when we have plenty of options available to us that won't move us hours away." Commenter 3 says, "Not the jerk. If you have joined the funds, immediately remove your contributions from the account and safeguard the money. He absolutely will use all of it to buy the cottage. His plan is to isolate you and keep you away from your network of people." OP says, "Luckily, I control our finances because I'm better with numbers, so I've already transferred my half of the savings into a different account. He won't even notice. He's usually very sweet and considerate, so I'm not sure what's gotten into him about this house. He loves my family, and we have the same friend group, as we've known each other since high school, so I don't think he's trying to isolate me." Commenter 4 says, "Is the house also 3 hours away from his workplace, or does he work from home?" OP says, "He works in tech, and he does physically go to work, but he has the opportunity to work from home if he wants to. He says because it's worked out for him, it'll work out for me too, and I can always just find another job in a nursery, but I don't think he quite gets how difficult it is to find a genuinely good job in a great nursery that doesn't have a toxic environment and a crazy high staff turnover." Commenter 5 says, "Who exactly is the we who received the money for the deposit? Who did the money come from? If it came from somebody in his family, he is probably being very proprietary about how the money is spent. That isn't a partnership, and this kind of thinking will spill over into other areas of their life. If the money came from someone in your family, or if it is somehow attached to your career, like a bonus, then he is a dictator who will force his ideas on you time and again. Buying a house is a partnership. He will expect you to help pay your portion of the mortgage and the upkeep, but you don't get a say in where the house is located. Is that what you want? Not the jerk." OP says, "We've been saving for a while. Nobody gave us any money. I was already saving before we got together, and so was he. And after a couple of years together, we decided to pool our house savings for our future, which I now realize was probably a really dumb idea because we aren't married. I've actually put in more than him despite earning less because I'm happy to live a frugal lifestyle while he likes holidays and expensive cars, etc." Update 2 days later. I wasn't expecting to be able to update this fast, but here we are. First off, I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post and also add some context, as I realized my last post may have been lacking some. Fiancé and I have been together for 5 years, but I have known him for 12 years. In all the time I've known him, and especially since we got together, he's always been sweet, taken my feelings into consideration, and hasn't actively ignored my opinion like this. It's always been a 2 yes, 1 no situation in decisions before this. We had a good relationship otherwise. We had date nights once a fortnight, we enjoyed each other's company, had aligning plans for the future, and had the same ideals for a relationship. He had watched me go through a few quite bad relationships over the years before we got together, and did his best to be the opposite of my exes, though he's always been quite pushy when it comes to sexual intimacy, so I guess that's an issue. But other than that, it was great, and we actually had a lot of talks about what we wanted in a house. We had agreed that we wanted a house or cottage, either the same distance away or closer to my work. A bit more remote, but still with a town or city easily accessible by public transport and car. I'm not sure why he suddenly switched to wanting a house so far out from everything and everyone we both know. We live in the UK, and a 2-hour drive can have you basically in a whole other world. Anyway, the actual update. I had annual leave from work yesterday, and my now ex-fiancé was having a work from home day, something he's been doing more and more frequently as of late. This is another reason he is so okay with the house he wants being where it is, because he could just switch to full-time work from home. In the morning, I sat down with him and tried to bring up the house. I laid out my points from my last post yet again and told him I am, under no circumstances, leaving my job. I love it, and I do not want to search for another. I brought up the countless other houses that fit our criteria, that are in our area and closer to my work, some of which we have viewed. We haven't viewed the place he wants yet, as we haven't had the time, and I told him I do not want to, as I already know it's not what I want. I also asked him if he really thinks it would be okay for me to have a 6-hour round commute every day, especially considering my shift starts at 8 a.m., so I would have to leave by 5 a.m. every morning and be up by around 4 a.m. My shifts typically finish at 5:30 p.m., so I wouldn't even be back home until 8:30 p.m. Would he be okay with doing all the childcare in the future, housework, and just everything that needed to be done because I would not be home for any of it? He didn't seem to take any of it to heart and still insisted I could find another job, maybe one not even in childcare, and that's what finally pushed me over the edge. Childcare has been my dream since I was a little girl, and I managed to find an absolute dream of a workplace that I know many childcare practitioners would kill to work for. How could I possibly leave all that behind when I worked so hard for it? He told me he's set on this house, so either I accept it or I leave. I chose to leave. I gave his ring back and told him we're done, that he's not being the sweet, considerate man I fell in love with, and that I don't know why he can't see my side of things in this. I do not want to live a life with somebody who doesn't consider how I feel in all of this. This completely shocked him, and he started begging me to rethink, saying that we can figure something out, but I refused and went to pack my things. I'm staying with my brother and his wife now, which is nice because they live closer to my workplace, a 30-minute drive instead of an hour, and I get to spend time with my little nieces. I am hurting, but I also feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I do not deserve to not have my opinion valued, and he certainly did not. I guess it's onwards and upwards, as they say, but I definitely won't be dating for a long time after this. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, he didn't even give up. We can figure something out means his opinion is still on the table. He just wants to keep debating even after you dumped him. Man, he really wants that house. Commenter 2 says, oh damn, he thought he could strong-arm you into agreeing with him. He thought you would relent because you were engaged and you'd never walk away. And then you called his bluff, and he realized he didn't hold the control over you that he thought he did. Good on you for calling his bluff and being rid of him. He would have 100% used that tactic again and again if you had stayed with him. Commenter 3 says, you mentioned that the two of you had saved up enough for a down payment. If the money is in a joint account, add up how much you contributed, plus interest on the amount, and withdraw it fast. OP says, hello, sorry for my absence. I've been very busy. I withdrew all the money that I contributed from the shared balance before I left my ex-fiancé. It's all safe in my own bank account now. Second update, 4 months later. Hi all. Sorry, I've been almost completely MIA for the last few months. Life has been completely hectic, but I wanted to give an update because I saw some people asking for an update. I also saw my post being read on TikTok a few months ago by one of my favorite Reddit story accounts, actually, and that was crazy. I truly did not think it would end up anywhere but Reddit. First off, I want to share some things about my life and how it has been since I left my ex-fiancé. Life has been up and down for me. I found a therapist, and I've started to rent a small flat close to my brother's house, still living below my means as I start to save for a house again, building upon my more than half of the savings I took when I left my ex. It was all my money. I had saved most of it. I did not take any of the money that was his. The flat is small, but it's cozy and doesn't have any of the mess my ex always left around. I was offered a position as assistant manager at my workplace, and while the pay rise would have been nice, I decided to turn it down, as I just so love working with the children, and I do not want to spend most of my time in an office. Being a room lead is fine with me. I adore my job. My workplace is still great, and I've made some really good friends with some newer staff members. I often have a couple of them over for drinks or dinner after work, as a little single ladies club. My absolutely amazing dad died suddenly and tragically in September, far too soon, at 65. He was truly the most incredible man, and I'd been leaning on him a lot for support after I left my ex. He left me a sizable sum of money, and while I am still waiting for that to come through, I'm planning to put it all into my house fund, and I'm hoping to be a homeowner by the summer of 2026. I also adopted a little tortoise shell cat to keep me company. Her name is Lily, and she's the sweetest, cuddliest thing. I'm slowly getting back into dating, and I actually made the realization that I like women, so I've been dipping my toes into going on dates with some lovely ladies, which has been great. Nothing serious, of course. I'm not ready for that yet, but it's nice to have some connection with people, explore my newfound dating pool, see what fits me best, and figure out my dating boundaries. Overall, while sometimes have been tough and heartbreaking, my life has improved. On the ex front, I really did dodge a bullet. My sister has told me countless times that I let a man disrespect me for far too long. He was not the man I thought he was, and upon reflection, I realized the first red flag was how pushy he was for sex. I believe one comment on my last update called him a sex fiend. My therapist has helped me to realize that coercion was not consent, so I've been working through that. Since we split, he has apparently been posting on Instagram about being an alpha male and how any woman would be lucky to have him. According to mutual friends, he has been listening to lots of horrible and misogynistic podcasts and spews that rhetoric to absolutely everyone he can, and he's already dating a new girl who is far too inappropriately younger than him, at 19. Yuck. I will never know the full logic of why he wanted me to move so far away from everything I know and love, but I feel that the comments saying he wanted me to quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom were correct in their assumptions. He couldn't afford the house he wanted without my part of the savings, so he's stuck in our old flat. I had to see him once more after I left, just to get the rest of my things from our old place, and he tried to talk to me, asking if we could fix what we had, but I ignored him and simply took everything I needed before leaving and blocking him for good. He's not worth my time or energy. I think during our relationship, I lost who I really was and forgot that I'm a strong and independent woman. I have always been quite feisty, and I've always stood up for myself. But somehow, with him, I lost those parts of me. They're back in full force now, and I couldn't be happier with that. I've used my Found Against spine to fight for what I believe in, and I've been to several marches and protests for Palestine in the last few months, screaming at the top of my lungs, holding banners and waving flags. I have advocated for children's rights. I have joined clubs and groups, and I have found my voice. Thank you all for your kind words, advice, and encouragement. I don't think I would have left or stayed away if it wasn't for all of you commenting. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, 19? Poor girl. OP says, I really want to message her and let her know what he's like, but my sister and friends have told me it would cause more problems for me. She's so young, and I'm afraid for her. Third update, 6 months, 3 weeks later. 6 months into the year already. Wow. Thank you so much to everyone who has been so supportive of my previous posts. I don't have much to update apart from the fact that, as of May 21st, I'm officially a homeowner. I found a perfect house that's only 15 minutes from my workplace. It may not be the out-of-the-way cottage I wanted, but it's perfect, and it's all mine. I have space to just be me and enough room for my nibblings to sleep over and give my siblings a break. On the dating front, I've been dating a wonderful woman, 30 female, since late December. I realized shortly after my last update that I wasn't bisexual and I'm actually fully a lesbian. We're still taking it very slow, considering I had just come out of a long-term relationship and she was only recently divorced when we met. But so far, so good. She's absolutely amazing, and I can safely say I love her. If things go well, we've talked about living together, but that won't happen until at least 2027, as I'm not quite ready for that level of commitment yet. She's helped me move in and decorate my new house, though, which has been lovely, as she works in interior design and seems to know exactly how to make a room look incredible. My ex broke up with the 19-year-old in April, from what I've been told, citing that she's far too immature. Like, obviously? She's 19 and you're 29, idiot. I haven't heard much else about him because I really don't care to know about his life, but what I have heard isn't great. On top of his stupid misogynistic stuff, he's also been on some horribly racist BS. I didn't mention this in my post because it didn't feel relevant, but I am mixed. My mom is black, and I am very clearly half black. He was engaged to a woman of color, and he's racist. All in all, life is good, and I escaped a man who probably never really loved me. I hope everyone has had a great year so far. Here's to better beginnings. It may not be much of an update, but I want to let you all know it can get so much better. Scaling Stories Corner. Wow, this was kind of a semi-blast from the past. I remember the first two updates, so I waited until now to get my thoughts in. And I mean, that's probably how I'll do these posts in the future that get new updates, but I still remember them. Otherwise, it just feels a little bit fake. And that's sort of why I have like some pronunciation errors in my corner pieces, because I'm trying to get it done in one take. Because if I do take a retake, it just feels really fake and not my genuine reaction. Because absolutely trust me, I've tried to do a retake before and then I just listen to it and I'm just like, who is this? That's not me. So my mindset is more of a get better and better at speaking angle. So my first recording is always good, then a retake it over and over until it's perfect angle. But anyway, that was a lot of blah, 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 blah. I'm really glad that OP was able to find someone who actually cares about her. I'm kind of worried that she got into a relationship a little bit too fast after her breakup, considering she was with her ex for over 5 years and she said she knew him for like over 12 years. But it sounds like the other person is in a similar situation, so maybe they're kind of bonding over that. I do hope that they work out though, like for the best, you know? I mean, surely anyone would be better than what her ex was, right? Like, maybe even a body pillow or a goldfish might be a superior substitute. I think there's a lot of better options out there. Okay, friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.